Hey guys, hope all is well. I'm going to be sharing some market data and some seller psychology data with you in this upcoming video.
Dealmakers, what's up?
My vision is to completely and utterly disrupt the market for buying and selling small businesses all over the world.
It's really, really important you understand seller psychology because it helps you almost predict both the price and deal structure that a seller is going to accept as part of your negotiation. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Carl Allen. I've been buying and selling businesses for over 30 years. I've done hundreds and hundreds of deals, tens of $billions in value, and I coach over 10,000 entrepreneurs and business owners how to do these deals, how to follow my leverage buyout, no money out of pocket deals. And it's really, really important for you to understand this because if you stay till the end, you're going to be able to learn and master these skills so that you become an absolute Jedi in deal flow and in negotiations by understanding really what's going on in the seller's head, which is a really critical part of any deal structure. And if you can master this, you can go out and just walk into cash flowing businesses without using any of your own money. And there's lots of dimensionalized benefits about owning cash flow businesses. You'll generate cash flow, you build wealth creation, you can have a lot of pride in owning these businesses. There's a lot of insurance and assurance about you doing these deals into the marketplace. And you can be a real player and a real deal maker. So definitely stay to the end and watch all this stuff. And please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon and like this video, and really, really enjoy and learn from me. So I hope to see you soon. Until then, bye for now.
Nobody in the world has seen what I'm about to show you, apart from a couple of guys. Who was on the call that I did? Clive Margotts was on it. Where are you, dude? Hey. Thalbo, my friend, how are you? So once you've been through Protégé for a whole year, and you come into year 2, we put you into something called Founders Club, where you get more access to me and additional calls and meetings, and I get to, hey Anna, good to see you. And I get to share like really, really cool stuff with you guys before I launch it to the wider community. So I showed this training really quickly. I went through it in about 10 minutes. Josh, were you on that call? Yeah, so I showed these guys this training, and it's a data-driven framework about how seller psychology really meets deal structures when you're looking at analyzing deals. And I showed them this stuff, and they were pretty, who was blown away? Were you blown away? So one of the guys, I can't remember who it was like frozen on the call like that. And I think I said to Josh, hey, that guy's frozen. He said, no, he's just like mind blown. He can't believe what you just shown him. So I think you're really going to enjoy this. So I'm going to walk around a lot as I present this. But I want to start with market data. So there's a really big reason why market data kind of underpins a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today. So what's been interesting over the last few years is it's been a roller coaster ride in terms of deals. So if we look at the total amount of deals closed, monster deals and small deals, we were at around $2.49 trillion back in 2019. We had a drop, as you can imagine, through COVID, and then it spiked up massively in 2021. And then this year, where everyone is expecting it to keep going up, it's actually come down. So there's almost a 50% drop in the total amount of deal volume over the last 12 months. And then if you kind of break this down to the small deal sector, so deals less than $10 million of enterprise value, we're kind of seeing similar trends. So 2022, as an estimate, we're probably looking around $87.5 billion of deals that are going to be closed kind of in our marketplace, that kind of sub $10 million enterprise value. And if we break it down even further, there's actually only 4.1% of all the deal value that's actually been done in our marketplace. So all the mega deals, all the big mergers, like Salesforce drops $27 billion to buy Slack. Those are the monster deals. So we're at about 87.5 billion. And there's been about 150,000 deals closed. This is just in the States over the past 12 months. So on an $87.5 billion value, it tells you that the average deal in our marketplace is being sold for just under $600,000. And we know that the average multiple is around 2.79x. So the average amount of EBITDA that's getting transacted in these deals is about $209,000. So what else do we know? So you've probably all seen this slide. So once a year, one of the things that I do is I do a massive deep dive into the marketplace, into the numbers. You know, how many deals are being put up for sale, how many deals are actually being closed, and what does that actually mean in terms of a closing ratio. And it's always been around kind of the 1 to kind of 10, 1 to 11 range. But what's interesting is the number of deals coming to market is actually going up, but the number of deals that's actually getting closed is actually going down. So right now in the States, there's only about 1 in 15 deals that are trying to sell actually sell. And you know what the number one biggest exit is for most small business owners in America? It's to close the doors and it's to turn off the lights. There just isn't enough deal makers out there that know how to raise capital, know how to find deals, and know how to negotiate these win-win deal structures. So, 2021, the average multiple was just less than 3. I'm seeing that as really kind of holding steady. And as you know, there's 2 things that really drive valuation. One is actually the size of the profit. The bigger the profit, the bigger the multiple. It compounds. That's why a company like Apple is worth 24.4 times its EBITDA, whereas a very small business, the types of deals that we're looking to do are kind of less than 3. And then obviously the better quality of the business, if it's high growth, high margin, it's got high barriers to entry, there's intellectual property, the business is like super optimized, and you've got a seller that's kind of not really motivated, this is where we're going to go with this presentation, then that can drive the multiples up. If you've obviously got a business that's more generalized, a bit more commodity, not a growing, hot, sexy market, not a lot of optimization, and you've got a seller that's really super motivated, that's going to drive the multiples down. COVID has also had an impact. Now, COVID, we have a phrase in the UK, the straw that broke the camel's back. So what we're seeing with COVID is a lot of people went through COVID. Some businesses failed, some businesses thrived, and then some businesses, just survived. So a lot of sellers, a lot of business owners now, they're coming to market, businesses that really thrived through COVID. I bought one in the UK in 2020, it's called BHMA. And the problem with the seller of that business is he couldn't deal with the pace of this expanding marketplace. He made signs and displays, and obviously with COVID, there was a lot of demand for those signage through hotels, restaurants, schools, workplaces, all those different things. And he was like, I always wanted a family business. I did not want this fast-paced, growing business that's kind of out of my control. So he wanted to sell it. So often sellers, they're chugging along, it's a family business, they're kind of happy with that lifestyle, and then their business takes off, not through their own marketing or through their own strategic growth. Something will happen in the world or the marketplace, their business picks up and they don't know what to do about it. So they're going to come to market and try and sell. And then a lot of people that survived this kind of straw that broke the camel's back, they're saying, well, you know what? I went through 9/11, I went through the global financial crisis, I've dodged all these punches, and for really old sellers in like manufacturing or engineering, they even went through the oil crises and the big recession of the 90s, and they're like, you know what, I'm done with this. Like, it's time to hand this on to somebody else who can take it forward. So COVID, I call it the COVID 79%. About 80% of business owners have gone through COVID, and they're looking now to exit their businesses. So this is one of the reasons why a lot of businesses are now starting to come to market. So what else do we know? So we've talked a lot about market data, and I've done some analytics on this and pulled a whole bunch of sources. So according to the California Association of Business Brokers, in the States alone, there's about 2.25 million businesses for sale right now. And we know there's about 150,000 of those businesses sold in the last 12 months. So it's about 1 in 15. But what's going to happen in the next 20 years? The baby boomer generation, 12 million baby boomers in the next 20 years are going to try and sell their businesses. We're talking $10 trillion worth of assets that are going to change hands. So if some of these conversion ratios don't start to dramatically increase, and I don't see how they can because the dynamics are not there, we're going to have over 7 million businesses for sale in 2032 just in the States. And even if a lot more of those start to get closed, sellers are facing a 1 in 24 lottery ticket to sell their businesses. There's a number of reasons why they're not selling their businesses, but seller psychology is now becoming so critical in this deal-making market. We really need to understand it in a lot more detail from a mathematical perspective, so we can use that information to look at deal structure and terms and how that fits together. So we know there's 27% less deals closing year on year that are sub $10 million in enterprise value. But we know every year for the next 20 years, there's 600,000 more businesses going to come to market. So it's going to be almost twice as difficult for a seller to actually sell a business. It's going to go from 1 in 15 to 1 in 24. What's also really interesting is there's two primary reasons why sellers can't sell businesses. Number one is they work in their businesses, not on their business. It's really, really hard to sell a business if the business doesn't work if you're not there. If you're not mission critical to the success of the business, then you can sell it. So, for example, let's say, not that I would, I've done it once but bought it back for $1. If I was to sell Dealmaker Wealth Society, whilst I've got this unbelievable team now, I don't think the business would work because I think a lot of people want to come into this program and they want to learn from my skills and my experiences. So I'm one of those businesses that is not going to sell. If I want to sell and exit, it's going to be a problem. So when you buy a company, if you buy a company as an owner investor and you're the owner, not the manager of that business, it's a lot easier to sell it. So Abraham, how many businesses that you own do you actually work in day to day? Zero. So he can buy and sell his businesses, which is what he does, and we're going to talk about that with him later. There's another reason why a lot of businesses don't sell. Even if you're working on the business, not in the business, the other reason is you don't have your ducks in a row. You're not ready to go through a transaction process. You don't have all your ducks in a row. Your tax returns, your income statements, your balance sheets, your asset lists. You've not got all your legals squared away. You've not got all the documentation together that a buyer's going to want to look at to vet your business. Hey John, how you doing? To vet your business and do all the due diligence. And the other problem is they're not psychologically ready. They haven't planned for what I call the afterlife. They haven't thought about, well, okay, why am I selling my business? What's the motivation? We typically understand that. But then I've done deals where I've been at the closing table, all the money's in escrow, we're ready to go, and the seller's not shown up. And they've texted me and said, I'm sorry, I just can't go through with it. It's like, anybody ever got married, went to the altar, and the partner didn't show up, they had second thoughts? That happens in business deals. Sometimes people just don't understand that you have to prepare and plan for that next season in your life. COVID has jaded a lot of business owners. I don't think we'll ever see a situation like we had in 2020 and 2021. You know, I've been on this planet for almost 52 years and I couldn't believe it. Like my son who's 14 said, Dad, does this happen like every 20 years? I'm like, no, never happened before. It's crazy. But COVID, these massive pattern interrupts in business and life, they make people do weird things. And it's making a lot of people come to market and sell their businesses. And we also know that a lot of sellers are fleeing trade buyers because they want to do more friendly deals. They want to do our kind of deals where we'll preserve the legacy of the business, we'll be sensitive to the culture of the operation, we'll protect the employees, we'll keep the name and the brand of the company so that the seller can retire in a dignified way and then really applaud us from the sidelines, want us to be successful, taking their business to a level that they're either not capable of doing or they just don't want to. So seller psychology is now so critical. We have to find a way of properly analyzing it. I think it's fine to get balance sheets, tax returns, income statements, we know what the business is worth, we know how much we can fund. And then, yeah, we talk about seller psychology. Is this a distressed seller of a good business? Well, yeah. But what if we could understand seller psychology in a mathematical way and then leverage that information to statistically calculate with a high degree of probability the value of the business and the most likely deal structure that the seller's going to accept? Anybody watch, you remember the original Star Wars movie, like episode 4? With Obi-Wan, where he's there with Luke in the speeder, and the stormtrooper comes over and he says, let me see your identification. And he says, you don't need to see my identification. These aren't the droids you're looking for. So this kind of, they're not Jedi mind tricks, but we're able to understand sellers in terms of the psychology in a really scientific way, and then use that information to set price and terms when we're buying their businesses.